And we would like to welcome to the studio today Enrique de la Madrid Cordero, the Minister of Tourism of Mexico. So thank you so much for being here, Mr. Secretary.
Thanks to you.
Let's first talk about what the feeling is in Mexico. I know everyone is watching the election here in the U.S. What's the sentiment in Mexico about what's happening here?
Well, we're worried in Mexico because some of the issues, we have been part of a campaign in terms of many of the issues have been discussed about Mexico, the impact of Mexico in the U.S. economy, the free trade, the trade itself, which in general terms have been attacked by both candidates, which we think is unfair, because trade has been very positive both for Mexico and for the United States. We are aware that many people in the States, mainly in the manufacturing sector, some of those people have been losing their jobs. Close to 6 million jobs have been lost. But from our point of view and from the information that we have, it really doesn't have to do so much with trade. It has to do with innovation, automatization processes, which happen in the U.S. as well as in Mexico and in other parts of the world.
Do you find that businesses right now are on hold, that maybe they're not making any business decisions right now?
No, not really. Investments, what we find is that many investments are taking place in Mexico, but some of the firms have asked not to talk about it, not to announce them. No, but we haven't seen any stop of investment. It continues to flow, the same in tourism. It is interesting to say that the amount of Americans flying down to Mexico is growing at a 14% annual growth rate. And by the way, also the number of Mexicans coming into the U.S. has continued to grow. More than 18 million Mexicans come legally to the United States, either for pleasure or for business. And it's close to $20 billion that we spend in the United States. So it's also a very important business both ways.
Well, I think even with the trade issue, just within Colorado, it's important because I think we do something like more than $1 billion both ways as well. So Mexico is an important trading partner with Colorado.
It is. We close to $270 billion are exported from the United States to Mexico. States like, for example, Texas, 40% of their exports go to Mexico. In Colorado, we have a trade of close to $3 billion. You sell us $1 billion, and that represents close to 88,000 jobs in Colorado just because of the exports that are done into Mexico. So both countries are really better off. Because of trade, you're also capable of maintaining low prices in the United States. You're now paying prices close to the ones in 1985 just in the clothing industry, and the same in furnishing. So trade is something very positive for the American people.
Okay, so let's talk about the election. And will things change, let's say, if President Clinton is elected?
I think that, first of all, I think that there's already an atmosphere which we all have to work in the years to come. Because some issues have been said which are not really based on facts. Trade is very important. So we have to continue to give information to the American public of why they are better off because of trade. More than 6 million jobs in the United States are dependent on U.S. exports into Mexico. The automobile industry, for example, is really very much now intertwined with Mexican production. And that is why the American industry is also so competitive. If for any reason that relationship were to stop, then probably some of the industries in the United States would not be as competitive as they are today, and millions of jobs could be lost.
So do you have concerns that with either one of these candidates that could stop? Because there has been a lot of talk about stopping outsourcing.
In some cases, one of the candidates is much more aggressive with respect to trade. Some others have talked about the idea of reviewing. We can always review. What has to be said to the American public is that because of trade, they're better off. For example, if for any reason trade were to stop, according to some think tanks in the United States, the cost of many of the imports to the United States will be very high. 63% of the purchasing power of the lower income people in the United States will be affected if trade were to stop. You will be paying automobiles at a higher price, clothes at a higher price, furniture at a higher price, and that is something that has to be known by the American public.
Let's talk about the issue of the border wall that Donald Trump has raised. What's the overall sentiment from the people of Mexico?
Well, first of all, I think that we're happy to see that now the theme has evolved. First, we were about to pay it. Now he's going to finance it.
That's not going to happen?
Well, he said, in his last comments, he said that now the U.S. will finance, and then we will pay it. Of course, we're not paying for any wall, because we do not believe in walls, we believe in bridges. We believe in continue to consume and to construct and to build computers together, to continue to build televisions together, to continue to work together, because we see ourselves as partners. We see ourselves with the Canadians as a region that is very competitive today in the world. We're competing as regions in the world, so it doesn't make any sense for two good partners to go apart. So I think that this relationship, again, is very positive, and we would like to continue to be like that.
If, though, there is a President Trump, is there, and he has said some hurtful things about Mexicans, do you think there is sentiment in Mexico? Will there be problems with business or tourism if he is in fact elected?
Well, I think that really depends. I will repeat to what I know that some entrepreneurs are thinking in the United States. First, we have to wait and see who wins. Second, we have to wait and see how many of the things that have been said in a political campaign are really going to be part of a policy going forward. And then we have to see where we stand. But what is relevant is for both of us to know that this relationship is very important, that the American economy is much more dependent in Mexico than what people are aware, that millions of jobs in the United States are really dependent on this good relationship, and we want to continue to work like that.
But certainly you're prepared for either scenario.
Well, I don't know if you can prepare for a tsunami or for a hurricane number 5. I don't know. It really depends what the outcome is and how serious some of the issues are. What we really are prepared is to continue to work together, to give the facts, to give the information. I have been traveling in this week, both here in Nevada and in Colorado. I can see, for example, in the hospitality business, that is an activity that has a significant amount of Latinos there. Many of them are Mexican. And I don't see that there is a competition necessarily for jobs in certain sectors of the U.S. economy. Hospitality, construction, agriculture. Many of your entrepreneurs are having a tough time in finding American workers for those sectors. I see that we're complementary. I see that we can continue to work together. And the more we speak of our issues and we solve them together, I think the better off we are.
There is a segment of our population, though, who wants that border controlled, who wants to stop the flow of people coming here illegally.
Well, if that border could also stop some arms and weapons going from the United States into Mexico, we will be happy to do it. Because part of the problem that we're also facing is where some of our organizations, criminal organizations in Mexico, can buy arms in the United States without any restrictions. So I think that we can all work together and see how we can both stop whatever we consider to be inconvenient for both nations. But we're partners. We're neighbors. We have to treat ourselves with respect and with dignity. And also I think that we are better off working together in many of these issues.
We have less than a minute to go. Is there something that the people of Colorado, the people of the U.S., should take into consideration, or that you'd like for us to know about Mexico that maybe people don't know here?
Well, first of all, there's the impression that Mexico is an agricultural country, poor and underdeveloped. 85% of our country is now urban. Mexico City, according to the New York Times, is the #1 visit of the 52 destinations in the year 2016. Mexico's exports, 95% of them are today manufacturing, not oil, as they used to be probably 30 years ago. So we're a country with a big economy. We're the 11th largest economy worldwide. So the U.S. has a big partner down there. 120 million people, middle class that is growing. Firms like Walmart, like Citibank, like American Airlines, their second most important market after the U.S. is precisely Mexico. So again, I am convinced that we're better off working together. That's the way we have been. We understand that there are some issues in the United States. There are some people left behind, but that's not something that will not be solved by stopping trade. I think there is policies that have to help those people to incorporate that to an economy that is constantly changing and moving. We're all facing similar changes.
I think we're all looking forward to the election here to get some answers. So thank you so much, Mr. Secretary. We appreciate you being here with us.
And thank you for the opportunity.